Hi, I'm Adrian Maven from EV Quest, and today I've got a special guest. I've got Robert Nicholls, who
Hi there.
own. Hi, Robert. Um, I guess we'll just start with you've got a really flash car. I've got the full name, so it's the Hyundai IONIQ 5 all-wheel drive limited,
Yes, yes, it is.
and it's car
And
of the year, as I read. So,
that's right.
so
That's right.
it's you can boast a little bit about it.
Yeah, so it's the top spec of the Hyundai IONIQ 5. So we've had this just over 3 weeks now.
And what's been your initial impressions?
It's a big step up from the two previous Hyundai electric vehicles that we've had. Um, it's it's a little bit hard to put in words, but I think probably the two things that really stand out is the first one is how quiet and refined it is. And I believe that's the same on all models, not just the top spec. They've got like double glazing on the glass to give you an extra buffer. And I understand the wheels might even have some extra sound deadening in them. So there's very little road noise and it's quite a quiet ride. And the other thing is that it's got a 3 meter wheelbase. So, and you've got wheels in the corners, so there's no real overhang on the vehicle. And that being the case, you get a very smooth and comfortable ride. So
It's a pretty big vehicle, isn't it?
it's not a small vehicle. It's only slightly smaller than a Tucson.
Oh yeah, wow. So it kind of looks. I'm just looking at the photo. You go, oh, that doesn't look that big. But then you see someone stand beside one, and you go, oh my gosh, that's actually
Yeah,
pretty big.
yeah. Well, I
And
can.
what? Oh, sorry.
I'll share the photo a moment
Oh, hey,
later.
yep.
Then um, your people can have a quick look. So that's the front end of it, and one of the things that's quite nice with the daytime running lights on the top spec, you get that like a mustache effect, or
Yeah.
some people think it might be Bubba Fett's mask from Star Wars,
Oh yeah.
and this is the back end of it as well. And one of the things they make note of in the design, it's all sort of like a throwback to the 1980s with all these pixelated squares and bits and pieces.
Yeah, because I read it's partly based on the original, the Hyundai Pony, isn't it?
That's right. That's right.
And what cars did you have before this? As a
So our very
comparison.
first car was this one here. We had the original IONIQ 28 kilowatt motor version. Um, the other vehicle that we then transferred to, let me go, was the Hyundai Kona. And the principal reason for us swapping vehicles was my wife has quite bad arthritis in her knee, and the IONIQ 28 is a relatively low vehicle, and so the seating position wasn't very comfortable for her. So we decided to take the step up into a Kona.
So are you mainly using the IONIQ 5? Is it some more of a route around town, or are you doing a lot of sort of long
Most
distance
of
traveling?
our trips are sort of long range trips. We frequently go to Gisborne, go to Whakatane, go to Tauranga.
From
Um,
Auckland?
no, no, from Hamilton. We're
Oh
based
yeah,
in
sorry,
Hamilton.
coming from Hamilton, yeah.
Yep, yep. And so we get around a reasonable amount. We also, go up to Auckland, down to Wellington, those types of things. So most of our travelling is long distance travelling as opposed to round town travelling.
Yeah.
So
So if
that,
you're going from Hamilton
yep.
to Auckland,
Hmm.
where do you charge? What do
Where
you
do you charge?
how does it work?
How does it all work?
How
Well,
far do you get?
in the new vehicle, we get around about the 380 kilometer range, and the reason for that is that it's got two motors, so it's all-wheel drive, and it's a much heavier vehicle. It's almost I think it's 2,200 odd kilograms, so almost getting towards 2.5 tons. Um, and what we do is we just work out where we want to be stopping for a break, whether it be a coffee stop or a lunch stop, And whenever we're stopping, we're thinking, okay, if we stop at this place, we'll plug in at the same time. And rather than having range anxiety with the new vehicle, we've actually got charger anxiety.
Oh,
In
yeah.
that the charger finishes way before we've finished our cup of coffee or a
Oh,
toilet stop. We went up to the Bombay hypercharger the other day, and we arrived there with 20% left in the battery, and we plugged in, and it took it to 80% in 14 minutes and 33 seconds.
wow, that's fast.
Yeah. So it wasn't even time to really go away from the charger to go and have a cup of coffee. The
Yeah.
network is absolutely fantastic. ChargeNet and some of the other major players in the market, OpenLoop and Vector and some of the others, they've all put in lots and lots of charges for the distance that we travel here in New Zealand. I mean, I don't think I think they filled in just about all of the gaps, other than there might be a bit of a gap around Maramarua area. But most of them you can go. There's a charger less than 75 kilometres before the
That's
next one.
good.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a matter of hopping on to PlugShare. There's a PlugShare app which you can download, and that'll show you all the different locations of all of the different chargers, no matter who might be operating those chargers. And it gives you the statistics about what size capacity the charger will push out. And it's also a good method of keeping communications going. So if you arrive there, plug in, sign into PlugShare to say that you're charging, if somebody else comes along and sees that you're charging and also sees that you're on the PlugShare app, they can actually message you through the app and say, hey, I'm absolutely desperate to get a charge. Can you come back to your car?
Oh.
And things like that. Or they can say, um, we're next in the queue. How long are you likely to be? And things like that. So it's a good tool to be able to have to keep communication between people if you're not actually there sitting in the car.
And have you got a charger at your home as well?
Yes, we're lucky to have one at home as well. We got a 7.2 kilowatt wall box, and that just means that we have the flexibility that we can fully charge overnight and take off whenever we want to. So with the bigger battery vehicles, while you still can charge on a 3-pin plug, it does take a lot longer. And if you're needing to have a full battery for when you leave, it might mean that if you arrived home with, say, 10 or 20% left in the battery, that it might not fully charge overnight if you're needing to do another long journey the next day.
And so I'm just sort of on the service because you've had three Hyundais, so you must be pretty happy with, I guess, this
Yeah,
technology and support.
yes. So we've had three electric Hyundais. We
Oh,
also,
yes.
prior to that, had about 5 petrol Hyundais. So um, we were very happy with Hyundai New Zealand and the local dealership here in Hamilton. They're very good and quite customer focused. Yes,
Yeah.
in my opinion, I don't think you could go wrong with a Hyundai. They are good vehicles. Um, they have good warranties on the battery, uh, which is like a minimum of 8 years, and the Konas did have a bit of a manufacturing issue with the batteries, where one of the small pieces of metal that was supposed to be bent over on the connector on the anode of the battery, the tolerance was too tight, and it had the potential that it might short circuit and cause a fire. And so Hyundai had been going through a process of replacing those batteries. Um, we had that happen to our vehicle, and they replaced the battery. Um, the only issue with that was the time frame in which they could do it. They were constrained by how quickly they could get a battery in from Korea, and of course then we had all the supply chain and COVID and all
Mm.
those types of problems wound up within that. So um, they certainly stand by their product, and it seems to be as good, if not better, than most. In fact, at the moment, there's a large number of original IONIQ 28s coming off lease, being sold through Turners and Trade Me and things like that, and they're representing very good value for money for people to get into something if they don't want to get into a Nissan Leaf.
Okay, yeah. So maybe summing up with the IONIQ 5, what I'd say there's maybe like the three big advantages you find for it, or three
Yep,
big selling points.
the three big selling points. The first one would be the space. It just feels very roomy and open when you're sitting in it, and it's, as I said before, it's quite quiet and quite a relaxing experience driving. The other thing is that it has a new 800-volt charging platform, and what that means is that it can charge really, really quickly, and it'll go from like 20% to 80% in like 15 minutes. So that's really good. And probably the other thing is just the styling of it. It just looks a real eye-catching vehicle. We've had people just randomly stop while we've been in a car park saying, "What's that? You know, how much did it cost?" You know, asking lots of different questions.
And just overall handling's pretty good driving, I guess, on the open road.
Yeah, very, very good. With the model that we have, it's got all the different bells and whistles. So it's got adaptive cruise control and things like that. So you can set it to like 100 kilometers an hour. If the car in front of you starts slowing down, it'll slow down as well, and keep the same safe distance. It's just a very nice, smooth car to be driving long distances, which we do a lot.
Okay, Robert, I think that's great. That's lots of information.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for your time.
No, you're most welcome,
That's
and
great.
good talking with you, and hopefully we'll catch up again soon.
Yeah, it's great. We'll get an update maybe in 6 months.
Yeah, love to give it to you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, bye.